We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying this text, Panchadasi, Chapter 1, called Tattva Viveka Prakaranam. Tattva means reality, which is called as Brahman in the Upanishads, or Turiyam in the Upanishads. These are the two synonymous words, but they mean the same reality, the same essence. When we study Upanishad, one of the most important things we should remember is that there is something which is the Atma of everything which is there in the universe. What is the meaning of this Atma? The meaning of this Atma means it is the inner essence, inner content of this whole cosmos. Whatever you may experience. How to understand this Atma in a very simple way? In a very simple way, we can understand the Atma of the dream state is the waker. There is no dream without the waker. Similarly, the Atma of the waker is called as Brahman. Now you're able to understand? Very easy. So it is the inner essence and it can be known only through the intellect in the waking state. In the dream state and the sleep state, there is no self-realization. The self-realization is only in the waking state. That's one point you should understand. The second point you should understand is, at any time, if you want to understand this Brahman or Atma or whatever you may call as the real reality behind the whole universe, there is only one method available. You should never forget till you finish your spiritual study. And what is that? The only method to know the reality or the substratum or the adhishtanam of this whole universe is to say in your own mind, I am that adhishtanam. I am that support. I am that consciousness. I am that awareness. I am that Sat Chit Ananda. I am that. You have to claim that. This is the only way to know the essence behind the entire study of spirituality. The whole Vedanta cannot be understood if you don't follow the first point and the second. Very, very two important points. So never try to objectify the reality. Whatever the method you are following, our normal tendency of the mind is that we will try to objectify even that Brahman. Initially, it is possible and we all accept it. During our junior student state, we all will try to think that there is an object called Brahman. That is a good, it is okay. It is a first stepping stone. But it should not be the last one. The last one should be, I am that pure consciousness. I am that awareness in which this entire cosmos is seen. Okay? I just wanted to give you this background so that when we do these verses, you are in tune with what the author is trying to reveal to us. Okay, this entire process of spirituality in Vedanta is only understanding. That is why we take so many sessions, so many classes to make the intellect more sharper and more deeper. These are the two faculties of the intellect which we need to understand Vedanta. The first faculty is it should be deep, in the sense that you should be able to go deeper and deeper. Not that at some point you say, no, I don't understand this. It should go deeper, deeper. Try to go deeper. And the second thing is you should have the focusing capacity. Chitta ekagrata, that is what is called as focusing capacity. When you want to dive deep into this topic of Brahman, your mind should not waver to other areas of the world. These are the two faculties of the intellect. Normally, initially, when we start the search, when we start to try to understand who am I, initially all of us will face these difficulties. These are called as obstacles. And these obstacles are common. So don't worry if you can't focus initially, because the same text, if you do the same text again one more round, you will find that you are able to understand it better. Bhagavad Gita, for example, many people have done it 10 times, 8 times. Doesn't matter. Keep on doing it again and again, because there are so many things said in the Bhagavad Gita of 701 verses that it is not easy for the intellect to absorb the depth of the meaning of those words. Now let us go to the 41st verse where we stopped last week. Before that, I want to take the 40th verse a little bit again, so that this is a very important verse. And it continues in the next verse. So that's why I wanted to just touch upon the 40th verse. What does this verse say? By discrimination of the subtle body and recognition of its variable transient character. What is a subtle body? Subtle body is primarily the mind. Why is it called as the variable factor? Because it is not there in the sleep state. Mind is passive condition. Why is it called transient character? Because this mind continues to take another body. Again, after dropping this body, it will take another body. That is why it is called as transient. So this subtle body consists of the sheaths of the mind. It is one of the sheaths of the mind. The three bodies are the three bodies are the 5 sheaths. Earlier I explained to you the gross body is the Annamaya kosha. The subtle body is the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. So we have covered 4. Subtle body is the 3. It's got 3 sheaths. And we all identify with these 3 sheaths. And during the whole day, we keep on identifying with them and doing our transactions. Suppose you sit for yoga and you start breathing exercises. At that time, you are focusing your mind on the breath. Suppose you're doing asanas, just doing some postures. At that time, you are focusing on the gross body. Suppose you are sitting in meditation, which we do at the end of the class every Wednesday. We are focusing on the mind. Suppose you want to take a decision about whether to get married or not to get married. You're focusing on your intellect. So, prana, manaha, buddhi. When you contact these three, are in touch with them, it is called as subtle body. Gross body is different than the self. The subtle body is different than the self. That is what is said in this verse. In the next verse, he is going to say the causal body is different than the self. And all these sheaths, the gross body, the subtle body, both these bodies are made up of three gunas, which is called as prakriti. Sattva, rajas, and tamas. They are the cause. We have seen this before in this chapter itself. How from Sattva Guna we have got Jnanendriyas. How from Rajo Guna we have got Karma Indriyas. How from Tamo Guna we have got the Sthula Shariram, or the Sthula objects of the world. We saw that before when we discussed the creation theory. So you are able to understand this verse now? We need to discriminate between the consciousness, which is called as the self, the awareness, which is called as the self. We have to say that this gross body is not the self. This prana is not the self. It's not the self means what? It is not the awareness. It is not the sentiency, the knowingness. This manaha is also not the self, because manaha, mind, by nature is born out of 5 elements. It's a product. By itself, it is not sentient. Intellect is another name given to the mind itself. Therefore, that is also not the self. So this is the gist of 40th verse. After having understood the 40th verse, now the 41st verse talks about the causal body. We have covered the Sthula Shariram, gross body. We have covered the subtle body. Now we are coming to the causal body.
Sushuptya bhane bhananto Sushuptya bhane bhananto Samadhavatmanonvyayah Samadhavatmanonvyayah Vyatirekastvatmabhane Vyatirekastvatmabhane Sushuptya navabhasanam Sushuptya navabhasanam.
What does this say? Now, this verse talks about the causal body. The causal body is what we normally experience in our sleep. The mass of consciousness, which we experience, the mass of ignorance. There are two ways in which we can explain the sleep state. One is, I don't know anything, it's mass of ignorance. I don't know myself, I don't know the world. That is called as avidya. The second way we can define it is a mass of bliss. I'm very happy in sleep state. When you say you are happy in the sleep state, it is the reflected ananda, the reflected joy of the self, which you experience. That is what is the sleep state. So don't forget this. Very, very important. Many people don't know how to explain the sleep state. Anybody asks you what is a sleep state, you should say, in this way, I can define, I can explain to you what the sleep state is, either positively as the bliss or negatively as the ignorance. Now, in the state of samadhi, when you are meditating, what happens then? This ignorance is negated. I know I am. It is very similar to the sleep state. Samadhi is very similar to the sleep state. But in the in the state of deep meditation, which is called as samadhi, both the ignorance is not there. At the same time, you're experiencing the self, which is again the reflected joy in the samadhi state. What is the difference between sleep and samadhi? Samadhi is a state of the mind where the mind is active, but there are no thoughts. And there's no, what happens is in that state also ignorance is there about the self, about the real nature of the self. You still are ignorant. So you can see the difference between the sleep state and the samadhi state. Because the self is there in that samadhi state also, we say that the variable factor is the mind, but the invariable factor is the self. This is how Vidyaranya tries to come to the climax. After negating all the 5 koshas, what should you say? The self is there. The Atma is there. With reference to me, the body, we'll say Atma is there. With reference to the whole universe, the cosmos, we'll say Brahman is there. Samadhau Atmanaha Anvaya. In samadhi, we say the self is there. Why the self is there? Because, for example, unless the self is there, you cannot experience, you cannot say, I was sitting in samadhi. So you are there. You are there means what? That consciousness which is illumining the quiet mind is there. For example, when you cannot say, I didn't have a grandmother, because you are there. So because you are there, you have to admit that you had a mother and you had a mother's mother who is a grandmother. Nobody can say that I didn't have a grandmother. Not possible, because you are there. So similarly, in samadhi, in the sleep state, also, you have to admit that there is an invariable factor, changeless factor, which is always there. Sushupti abhane, samadhi has transcended sushupti. That means you don't have sleep, but you are still there. Avidya is experienced, then it is called as karana shariram. In nirvikalpa samadhi, there is no avidya. All thoughts have ended. There is no thought. It is a thoughtless state. Slowly, Vidyaranya is talking us about this samadhi, because later on, in one section towards the end, he is going to discuss meditation. And in meditation, he is going to discuss what is samadhi. So deep sleep state and nirvikalpa samadhi, what is the difference? Number one, in both the states, the common element is there are no thoughts. Neither in the deep sleep there is thoughts, neither in the samadhi state there is no thoughts. Ignorance continues in the deep sleep state, ignorance ends in the samadhi state. There is no avidya, there is no ignorance because you are there and you know that you are there. And there is no karana shariram in the samadhi state. In the samadhi's particular state, you are there. But the problem in samadhi state is you and that samadhi, the mind is dvaitam. This is why Vedanta says the samadhi is not important because it is still you are in dvaitam. You are in dvaitam means what? Between you and the thoughtless mind. You say, I am there and I am experiencing a thoughtless mind. You have to cross this and then go to the higher state. That is what Vedanta says. Okay, Prakriti is called as Maya or Avidya. When it refers to the whole universe, it's called as Maya. When it refers to the body, Karana Shariram, it is called as Avidya. In Samadhi, what is the Anvaya? We are using the Anvaya Vyatireka method to come to the self. Anvaya means what? What is continuously there? It is invariably, it is present in all the states, in all the conditions of the mind. Samadhi is one of the conditions of the mind. Sleep is also another condition of the mind. So Atma is there in sleep, Atma is there in Samadhi. Atma is there in Jagrat. Atma is there in Swapna. What is the Vyatireka? What is not there in Samadhi state? Ignorance is not there. The essential aspect of Anandamaya kosha. Okay? Anandamaya kosha is avidya plus the absence of three vrittis. What is the three vrittis? Priya, Moda, and Pramoda. These are I already explained to you what is Priya, Moda, and Pramoda. One is when the joy is of a lower nature, medium nature, or highest nature. Low nature of the joy is Priya. Intermediate nature is Moda. Highest nature of joy is Pramoda. But always remember, Ananda, which is experiential Ananda, is always with ignorance of the self, which is the Atma, plus the three vrittis. Because avidya continues, you should remember that there is still ignorance in the samadhi state. Ignorance continues all the time. Till you come to Vedanta or come to Panchadasi and understand all these koshas and try to come out of it. So in samadhi, we transcend sushupti state. Sushupti state, we transcend it. Sushupti implies avidya experience. Bhanantu samadhana atmana anvaya samadau sushupti abhane api. This is there from the verse. What it means is, in samadhi, even though there is absence of ignorance, atmanaha bhanamtu, the self-experience continues. So what is appearing all the time is the self. So in the samadhi state, what type of experience will it be? I exist without ignorance. Avidya is not an essential part of my self. See, the self is cannot be objectified, but whereas the mind in samadhi can be objectified. I am not what I can be without. That means, see, there are two things related to the self. One is the self per se, which is consciousness, awareness. And the second thing is ignorance about it. Here we are trying to look at the ignorance part, avidya. In samadhi, sushupti anavabhasakam, there is not a perceptibility of avidya, karana shariram, anandamaya kosha, or sushupti. Karana shariram is not inherent to I. See, that is ultimately what does Vidyaranya want to say? We all have got ignorance. That ignorance is nothing but it is a causal body. You can't identify, it is an invisible thing. It is unmanifest condition of the mind, which is called as the causal body. So Karana Shariram is not inherent to I experience. Pratiti. Pratiti means experience. Okay? So I hope you have an idea about, a little bit about the self, ignorance about the self, and what do we experience in the sleep state. In the sleep state, ignorance is fully there. But in the state of meditation, ignorance about the self is still there, but what happens is that I, which is the seer of that ignorance, is also there. So the one who doesn't know that I am the Turiyam, I am the self. Suppose you come to know in samadhi you cannot know because it is a state of the mind. How do you come to know? Only when you come to say, I am that consciousness, and you're aware about it, that is the time when you can clearly know the self. See, all these verses are trying to come and teach us about Atma. Let's look at the 42nd verse.
यथा मुञ्जादिशि कैवम् यथा मुञ्जादिशि कैवम् आत्मा युक्त्या समुद्धृतः आत्मा युक्त्या समुद्धृतः शरीरत्रितयाधीरैः शरीरत्रितयाधीरैः परं ब्रह्मैव जायते परं ब्रह्मैव जायते.
This verse is an example, Drishtanta. It is an example to talk about Atma. What is the example given here? There is a munja grass, a typical grass which you can see when you're going in India. So suppose you're going towards the farms in India. On the side of the roads, you'll find a grass which is a grass, but it has got a coarse covering on top. And it is, if you try to remove that covering, you can hurt your fingers. But you have to remove the covering to see the core of that grass. So similarly, we have to remove the covering of the 5 koshas and then to see the truth about yourself. Another simple example can also be taken: an onion. You keep on peeling the onion till you come to the core of the onion. So peeling the onion is like peeling the 5 koshas. Or you take the fruit, banana stem, you have the stem, right? And you keep on removing this one layer after the other, the stem. And then you come to the core, and sometimes you can make curry and things like that with the help of the stem. Whatever be the example, what it means is you have to peel off the 5 layers which you have: Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, and then only reach to the core of Atma. Yatha means just as, Munjat Ishika Evam Atma. Munja means the grass, Ishika means the core. Ishika is the core of the grass. So grass has got a covering. You have to peel one by one. How do we peel in the case of Atma? The peeling is done intellectually. And how do you do it intellectually? What is the method which is employed? Anvaya Vyatireka. Anvaya means it is always there. Vyatireka means the variable factors which is removed. For example, you take the 3 states: waking, dream, sleep. You remove the gross body, the waker is gone. What is left out? Atma. Go to the dream world. Remove the subtle body. What remains? Atma is there. Go to the sleep state. Remove the causal body of ignorance. What is there? Atma is there. Removing it is called as Vyatireka. Holding on to the Atma in all the 3 states is called as Anvaya. So it's clear? Anvaya Vyatireka. Never you should have a confusion regarding this method, because in almost all the Upanishads, this methodology is followed. Mandukya Upanishad, Kedo Upanishad, every Upanishad Shankaracharya writes about this particular method. You have to hold on to the common factor. Another example which is given is that Devadatta is this Devadatta. That Devadatta means you are referring to a person who was very young, with different features. That Devadatta is this Devadatta, this whom you are seeing in front. The time, there is a difference in time, that and this. But the self, the person is the same. Similarly, in all the 3 states, the self is the same. And that self is what? Consciousness. That self is what? Awareness. Because that is the nature. That is the nature of the self. Which the Upanishads say, that is the nature of the self. Clearly, they define the self in Mundaka Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad and Kaivalya Upanishad. We have seen all these Upanishads in the Saturday sessions. Or you might have done with me in the previous years. So the self is what is the aim of all our talks. That self is compared to the munja grass, the core of the munja grass. Yuktya. Yuktya means through the logic of Anvaya Vyatireka, which was mentioned in verse number 37. We use our intelligence to see the common element in all of them. Samudrata Sharira Dritayat. You take the self out and then drop all the 3 sharirams. Like you are able to keep that Ishika core from the munja grass, Same way you keep the self from the three bodies. Atma, dissociated with the five sheaths, is the core of who I am, which is called as self-awareness. And this Param Brahmaiva Jayate. Param Brahmaiva Jayate means what? This Atma itself is that highest nature of the universe, which is Param Brahma. See, when our Lord is called as Param Brahma. Okay? So once you have dissociated the Atma from the five sheaths, Atma itself becomes Paramatma. That is what it says. That is what the Mahavakyam does. Tattvamasi. This Atma is Brahman. I am Atma Brahma. Mandukya Upanishad. Tattvamasi is Chandogya Upanishad. Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam means this Atma, this consciousness in your body is Brahman. Same thing Vidyaranya repeats here. Okay, it is association and dissociation which we do in our intellect. The self itself becomes the five koshas because of the upadhi. You remove the upadhi. Upadhi means a medium of transaction. Our body is a medium of transaction. Mind is a medium of transaction. But then the Atma is the core of our personality. See how beautifully Vidyaranya brings out the truth. So beautifully. He has done in 6 verses, he has done the Sharira Traya Viveka of Mandukya Upanishad and the Panchakosha Viveka of Taittiriya Upanishad. 6 verses. In 6 verses, he has mixed up both these methods of discriminating Atma from the Anatma. So this is a revision. I'm not going to get to the revision because it's already done. See, I can be without this physical body. All of us must register this fact. Because when we leave the gross body during death, many questions are asked. Is there something after the death or not? That was Nachiketa's question in Kathopanishad. A very simple proof of there is something when you leave identification with this gross body, there is something. How do you know that? Vidyaranya says, in the dream state, I am without the experience of the physical body. Therefore, what is the conclusion? This physical body is only a transitory phase in my life when I am aware of this body. That's all. It's a transient phase. It is not there all the time. But I think it is there all the time because again, when I get up from the morning, when I wake up from the sleep, again, I look at the same physical body. That because I see the same physical body, the creation is in such a fashion that you don't change your physical body for a certain amount of time because that is the way the world has been created by the Lord. 60 years, 70 years, 50 years, 40 years, whatever is the time required for you to experience the world. as per the prarabdha karma. Deep sleep state is I am without the prana and the mind. Without the sukshma sharira experience, I'm still there in the deep sleep. So it is very easy for me to ultimately conclude that I can be there without the three bodies. In the samadhi state, I am still there, but the karana shariram is also gone. Avidya is gone, but I am there. Okay. So what is the conclusion? I can be without the three bodies and still have experience of myself as what? As pure existence, not as consciousness. For consciousness, you require the mind. But for existence, I don't need the mind. I can say I am the Sat principle. For example, the wall. The wall exists or not? Yes, it exists. So what aspect is seen in the wall? The Sat aspect of Satchidananda. In all bodies, what is seen? The Chit aspect is seen. In the world, what is seen? The Sat aspect. So self-experience not constituted truly of the three sharirams or the three avasthas or the five koshas. That is what Vidyaranya wants to say, that my self-experience does not need this. These are the upadhis. Okay? Anvaya Vidyarika, I have already explained. Samadhi is not a realization of ourselves. Samadhi not experienced by senses or the mind. Samadhi, swaprakasha. Swaprakasha means what? The self. That abides in all the states. When I realize Turiyam in my waking state, it is not, Turiyam is not a state, but it is knowledge. It is knowledge about my nature. States will come and go because states depend on the mind. But I am continuously is there. That is what is called as the self, which is called as the Atma. In Samadhi, there is neither ignorance, neither there is knowledge. I am not the Karana Shariram in Samadhi state. The four states are what? Waking, where all the koshas exist. Dream, where by inference we can say that the Stula Shariram is not there. The sleep state, where we say there is no prana, manaha, vijnanamaya koshas, no sukshma sharira for experience. Prana in the body may continue, but for my experience, it is not there. Samadhi state, there is no anandamaya kosha, there is no ignorance, there is no karana sharira, but there is the self. We have a feeling the causal body is always there. How I am not the karana shariram, it is not in samadhi avastha also. How can I say this karana shariram is not there? That is what we are going to see in the following verses when we discuss from 43 onwards. So, in general, when we remove the identification with the five koshas or the three sharirams, we are with our real nature. So, in sleep, what am I? In sleep, if I remove that ignorance part by way of this knowledge of Atma, I can boldly say I am the Atma in my sleep state. And that is what is called as moksha. It is called as Jivan Mukti. So the knowledge of Brahman is not attained by going somewhere, but it is attained here and now in the waking state. Okay? So that is what we should understand. Brahma Lakshanam is Satchid Ananda. Lakshana means what? Indicator. Look in the direction of Satyam. Look in the direction of consciousness. Look in the direction of the joy, happiness, and you will realize your nature. In the third chapter, we have done this before. In the Wednesday classes itself, we have finished the third chapter. One of the verses, the sixth verse there says that what gives the rise to the ideas of I or mine is always with regard to the body. With reference to the body only, I say this house is mine. Similarly, with reference to the thoughts, I say this mind is mine. The self exists even without the thoughts. The self exists even when the gross body is not experienced, the self exists. Therefore, in the waking state, if I think that I am this gross body, it is a delusion. It is ajnanam. This ajnanam removal is the goal of all the seekers. Okay? Next, let's go to the 43rd verse.
Paramatmanorevam Yuktya sambhavitakata Tattvamasyadivakyai sa Tattvamasyadivakyai sa Bhagatyagena lakshyate Bhagatyagena lakshyate.
In the 42nd verse, Vidyaranya concludes the method of how to identify ourselves with the help of Anvaya Vyatireka method. It started, this method of revealing the self started from the verse number 37. 37 to 42, 6 verses shows us, if you want to go back to the identity, suppose you are not clear of, I am not able to still understand the Atma, study these 6 verses from 37 to 42. From the 43rd verse onwards till the 48th verse, this portion is called as Mahavakya portion of the first chapter of Panchadasi. Mahavakya portion. 43 to 48, 6 verses again. This verse is a starting introductory verse for the topic of Mahavakya. What does Vidyaranya say? He says, in this way of Anvaya and Vyatireka, the identity of the substratum of the whole cosmos and the identity of the Jiva is explained through the reasoning of Anvaya and Vyatireka. And where is this quoted? Where, how, in which text is this given? For example, Tattvamasi. This is a Mahavakyam occurring in Chandogya Upanishad. Aham Brahmasmi. is in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I am Atma Brahma is in Mandukya Upanishad. Prajnanam Brahma is in Aitareya Upanishad. Remember these four Mahavakyams. They are very, very important Mahavakyams. And there are many, many Mahavakyams, but these four are very, very popular. In these, when we when we understand these verses through the method of Bhaga Tyaga, Anvaya Vyatireka, keeping the common element and getting rid of uncommon features, you arrive at the self. That is what he is saying in the 43rd verse. Para, apara, atma. Para means what? The moment you understand para and apara, immediately what you should remember? Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter. Para prakriti, apara prakriti. There prakriti means atma. Para prakriti is the superior atma. Apara prakriti is the inferior atma, which is called as Jivatma, and superior is called as Paramatma. But the identification of both of them, there is oneness. There is a common element between Paramatma and Jivatma, and that is what is called as Satchid Ananda. There is a common element. What is common? Both of them are existence. Both of them are consciousness. Both of them are blissful. That is what we have to understand from this whole exercise of first chapter till the 42nd verse. Jivatma is cleared of the 5 sheaths, and the Paramatma is cleared of the 3 prapanchas. Paramatma is the Jagat Karana. Jivatma is the identified with the 5 koshas. That Jagat Karanam Dhamma and the Jivatma are one and the same. That is what is explained through the Mahavakya. That is what Vidyaranya now is focusing on. See, look at the way Vidyaranya started. He first described what is the reality, Satchidananda. Then he talked about creation. Second major portion. First portion was Satchidananda was covered till the 10th verse. From the 11th verse till the 36th verse, he talked about creation, 5 elements and what came from what and what are the 3 gunas, all that. From the 37th verse to the 42nd verse, he discussed the Anvaya Vyatireka, the logic behind how to arrive at the central essence of the Jiva and the central essence of the whole universe. And now he's saying there is a Mahavakya from 43rd verse onwards till the 48th. We'll be discussing the Mahavakya portion, and he is going to explain to us in detail how to know, because ultimately Mahavakya is the proof that Jivatma is Satchidananda. Brahman is also Satchidananda. The only proof is the Shastram. Sambhavita. Sambhavita means it is stated in the Mahavakya. Mahavakya means it is a Vakyam which talks about the Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva means what? The principle behind this entire universe. Keno Upanishad describes this principle as na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vad gacchati, na manaha. The eyes cannot see the reality. Neither can I hear about, can I hear? Neither the eyes can see, neither the speech can go there, neither the mind can go there. But still, I come to realize what it is. Kaivalya Upanishad. Yat param brahma sarvatma vishwasyatanam mahat sukshma sukshmataram nityam tattvameva tameva tat. Very beautiful verse. You are that. You are that. You are. Both it says in Kaivalya Upanishad. That means what? Atma. Kathopanishad. He who knows this Atma, he enjoys everything in this world. He is the Lord of the past, present, and the future. Nachiketa, the student asked, what is beyond the past and the future? Is there anything? So he says in Kathopanishad, there's a very beautiful mantra. That Atma is beyond time. That is the essence of this. Sa ekata, the oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma is explained in Tattvamasi by Bhaga, Tyaga, Lakshana. Lakshana means indicator. Bhaga means you take one portion of the path, you hold on to it. Another portion, Tyagaha. Another portion you give up. So one part of you, you hold on. Atma. What do you drop? Bhaga, Tyaga, what do you do? Tyaga, which part? Don't do Tyaga of the self, of the Atma. Tyaga of the three sharirams, the pancha koshas. Okay? With reference to Paramatma, oneness of Bhaga Tyaga is done by removing the prapancha, the world which we experience, external world. So Upanishad tells us, Tattvamasi, you are that superior reality, supreme reality, and there is identification between the Jivatma and Paramatma. This identification is called as oneness, aikyam. In Sanskrit, it's called as aikyam. Okay, so with this, we'll close today's session. Next week, we'll start with the 44th verse. Here, we will take into explanation all the 4 Mahavakyas, and we'll see how the Mahavakya explains to us the nature of Atma. There is a technical explanation of a Mahavakya. This technical explanation is taught only to senior students. The moment you come to Mahavakya Vichara, it means that you have crossed all the junior study. When you come to Mahavakya, you have become a senior student, and here some reasoning is required to understand how you employ the Mahavakya, and then you arrive at the truth. Okay? I will take this. This is a slightly technical topic, but it is important because don't forget that Munja grass. Munja grass is very important example. It comes in Vivek Chodamani. It comes in many other Upanishads also. Here it comes. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll open up now for discussions, questions and answers. So you can ask question if you have any questions regarding today's meditation session or regarding the session itself. You can go ahead, unmute yourself and ask the question.
I can share something. I don't have a question.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to share that for me personally, I find today's meditation is something that works best for me because it kind of helps me to abide in the highest understanding. And I'm finding all the other concepts that sometimes I get too attached to them, and then my mind starts to think a lot and
Yes,
takes me for a ride. So
yes, you're right.
actually, yeah, so I'm finding just listening maybe to just the highest teachings, or just about the um, absolute reality, that really dissolves everything else, because I think I don't really have questions, but then when I do listen to maybe uh, some concepts, about the creation and so on, then suddenly, oh, so many questions, so many questions.
Yeah,
But if I
that's right.
don't listen to that, then
Yeah.
actually I don't have questions. I don't know. That's just my experience here.
Good, very good. I'm very happy, Anna. You are expressing it the way this is a perfect understanding and the perfect experience of this meditation. Uh, See, this is exactly what you are expected to go through, because the questions which arise, they are all belongs to the subtle body, the mind. But once you have understood, I am not the subtle body, I am not the mind, and you have started having a peek at your awareness. You see, this meditation helps us to drop the unwanted features from our body, our mind. And many questions regarding the world or regarding our own self are answered by removing the three bodies. And that is what all these beautiful verses of Vivek Chodamani meditation verses, they do that. So I'm glad that whatever you have said is perfect. You can see Neeta also agrees with you completely. And there are other people also who agree with what you are saying, what you're expressing. That is the job of the meditation. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Uh, the chapter one of this Panchadasi will come to an end probably in about 6 sessions, I think. And after that, I have two options. One is to take the chapter 2 of Panchadasi. I want to know from you, do you like me to continue Panchadasi or take up some other text? You see, that's what chapter 2 is also another similar, that is what is the style of Vidyaranya. Now you have seen 4 or 5 chapters. I wanted to give you the feel of how Vidyaranya writes and reveals the nature of Atma, which by now you have understood. The Swayam Jyoti Brahmana, the self-shining consciousness, how he describes the Anatma, the Panchakoshas. These are all the styles. There is a question from Sanoj. I feel sleepy while meditating. How to overcome that? Good. It's one of the very important aspects of the obstacles to the meditation. This sleep is called as layaha. There are 4 obstacles to meditation. The first obstacle is layaha, sleep. So, how to overcome this sleep? See, the mind has a tendency, it has a memory. What is a memory of the mind? Whenever I close my eyes, I have to sleep. That is the habit of the mind. It goes into a passive. The moment you put your pillow, you put your cover yourself, you put on the fan or a AC, you put all the conditions for sleep. So the mind goes to sleep whenever you are trying to sleep in the night. Okay, that is the habit. In meditation, the best way which the teachers, the practitioners of meditation, they advise us, layaha is overcome by a conscious, deliberate thought at the beginning. And what is the thought? For the next 10 minutes, I will be awake. Consciously bring an opposite thought. Normal thought is what? Close your eyes, go to sleep. What are you saying now? I will remain awake for the next 10 minutes, come what may. Come what may, let me be awake. Let you make this thought as the first thought of meditation. I will be awake, I'll be observant, I will watch my mind. Whatever the mind is doing, I will watch. Let me just be a watcher. Let me just observe the mind. Because there is nothing else. I've closed my eyes. Nothing is happening around me. So all the 5 sense organs are stopped. But when they stop, usually for most of us, what happens is we are able to watch our mind. Out of 20 people in the class session today, 16 people will observe their mind. They will observe the thoughts. And they will join the thoughts and get caught up in the thoughts, most of us. 1 or 2 of us will be able to watch the thoughts as an object, like you watch an object. Suppose you are seeing an object, a wall, or your mobile, or your laptop, or your book, or your son, or a daughter. You're watching all of them. Like you're watching, you're seeing. When you're seeing, you're using your eyes. But when you're seeing the thought, you are watching. Here, you means what? Consciousness. I am the consciousness which is watching the thoughts. So bring the second thought in your mind. First thought is what? I will not sleep. Second thought is what? I am the sakshi. I am the consciousness. In which some thoughts are coming and going. And let me be the observer of these thoughts. This is called as sakshi bhavana, which Vijaya has put in the chat board. She says this is sakshi bhavana. And what is the first one? I will be aware. I will be awake. I will not sleep. Consciously say, I will not sleep. That is pratipaksha bhavana, opposite bhavana. Your normal tendency, this is very, very common. See, in almost all the sessions of meditation which I have attended before, you will find that 70% of the people, they go to sleep, especially if you have a meditation at 5 in the morning and you go to a camp, a spiritual camp, and then the organizer is very hopeful that people will love meditation. So they ask the participant to get up at 5 o'clock and come for the meditation session. But in the meditation session, when all the lights are off, you will find that somebody started snoring. It is invariably, it happens. So don't be, it is a common thing. Sleep is a very common aspect of meditation. And what happens in sleep is the mind, the thoughts calm down, and then it goes into an ignorant state. So, there is two methods. One is tell yourself, I will not sleep. This will definitely help you. I'm telling you, it has helped. So many people have called me with this problem in meditation. Layaha. Very common. Very, very common. This is a natural tendency of the mind. And to overcome that, see, this is a tamasic aspect of our mind. Our mind has got sattvic aspect, rajasic aspect, tamasic aspect. Tamasic aspect makes us sleep. Rajasic aspect makes us run after so many desires, fulfillment of this desire, that desire, that desire. I want to buy a house. I want to build a house. I want to do this. I want to so many activities. That is rajas. Become aware of your rajas. During your normal activity in the daytime also, suddenly you will find my mind is rajasic. Suddenly you will find that, oh, I'm dozing off. Become aware of these while you are in the transactions and while you are in meditation. Become aware. See, alertness. You have to be alert. What is happening to me? What is happening in this body? Who am I? Who is this? Who is experiencing this sleep? Who is experiencing this thoughtless state? These are the 2-3 questions. If you ask, you will get rid of your sleep permanently while you are meditating. Okay? So, Sanoj, have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, from the next time I'll try that. Yeah.
You will try. See, when you sit, see what happens is the best thing is to practice yourself. And don't extend the meditation beyond 5 to 10 minutes initially. Don't get up. You know, the moment you feel you're sleeping, immediately get up. No need to sit. No need. That is why I'm saying that don't go into a thoughtless state. Bring thoughts in your mind. And what should be the thoughts? Read one verse of Vivek Chodamani, 5 verses we have done. One verse you read, understand the meaning, close your eyes, think about that meaning. That is what I have done in all these sessions. I've explained to you the meaning. I've told you to close. I have again, by closing the eyes, I dwell on the verse. Dwell on the verse, not more than 5 to 8 minutes. Let this become a natural phenomena so that you get practice of this exercise. Because this practice will slowly make your mind ready. Ready for what? Ready for Mahavakya. What we are going to attempt to learn next week in our session is Mahavakya Vichara. That Vichara, that inquiry, you have to do it in the seat of meditation. Tattvamasi. How do I analyze Tat? How do I analyze Tvam? And how do I analyze Asi? I'm going to teach you that. This is the way to learn. So slowly we will learn this. As you see, the beauty of these meditation verses of Vivek Chodamani is, when you learn to meditate on these verses, then you can meditate on any verse of the Upanishads. You can take, after your practice with me, the next is, I see there are 40 verses I have chosen. It has been chosen not by me, but by another Swamiji. He has chosen 40 verses out of the 500 verses, 550 verses of Vivek Chodamani. He has chosen these 40 verses. I have just taken those same verses which he has chosen, and I'm trying to take that for our meditations. I have in the first session, I have given you all the 40 verses. Which verse number, what are the two sections in which all 40 verses will come, and what are those verses, what is the chanting of those verses, all I have given in the first meditation session of Vivek Chodaman. Okay, if you have not received it, you like to receive it, you can write to me or send a WhatsApp. I will forward that to you again. Okay, so that is Sanoj, and thank you, Vijaya, for explaining this Pratipaksha Bhavana and Sakshi Bhavana. Good. Anybody else has any other question?
Mr. Shekhar, Jacqueline here.
Yeah, Jacqueline.
I have, maybe I know the answer, but I'm just asking. When you're meditating, where are you? Are you the same as like when you're sleeping and it is the witness and it is inside?
Exactly. When you are meditating, you are in the same locus as when you are sleeping. The locus is the same. The locus is Atma. Whether you are in waking state, whether you are in dream state, whether you are in the sleep state. The locus, the center is the same.
Okay.
In meditation, what happens? You drop the three states and then you remain as the locus. But that will happen at a very, very advanced state of meditation. It will not happen today.
Okay.
For all of us, there is that locus. That locus is our goal. And that locus will realize itself when the mind is ready. That is the time when you will say, I am that consciousness.
Okay.
That's all. After that, there is no more meditation required. There is no more study required at all. Because you have known the locus and you can remain as the locus any time in your life. This is a promise by the Upanishad. And this is what is called as moksha or freedom. The goal of meditation, the goal of our study. At no point in your life will you ever get confused that you are the body or the mind. The distance between the body and the mind will keep growing as you keep meditating. So much so that during the waking state itself, all the activities of the body will keep going on. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran. This is what in Gita chapter 9, the 5th verse. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes the final state in the chapter 9, 5th verse. What is that state? He says, while you're acting in the world, while you're running behind, doing kitchen items, anything you're doing, you will realize that I am the locus of everything in creation. Good question, Jacqueline. Very good. I'm glad you asked it. I could explain this in depth. Thank you.
Wait, I have another two question, okay? Question number one is the locus. Okay, now I know that it is the locus. So the question that I'm asking, that the locus itself is supposed to be in everywhere and anywhere, and during that sleep, okay, as a human we sleep, but as a spirit, as a consciousness, is a dot of the universe?
Okay.
Just like your background screen.
Yeah. You see, I can understand your question. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening will also understand your question. See, the sleep belongs to the mind. There is no sleep for the consciousness. For consciousness, which is the locus, there is no sleep, there is no waking, and there is no dream.
Yep, okay.
In the awareness, these three states of the mind are coming and going, manifesting, unmanifesting, manifesting, unmanifesting. What is manifesting and unmanifesting? Mind. Remember,
Yep.
most important to note is I am the consciousness, but the mind is manifesting. Then I call that state as waking. The mind goes to semi-manifestation, which is dream. The mind goes to unmanifest, I call it sleep.
Yes.
Three states belong to the mind, but I am the awareness. That awareness never sleeps. There is no end to awareness. This is said in one of the most beautiful verses in Vedantic Upanishad. It says that everything in the world comes to an end. What doesn't end is your awareness. Body comes to an end, mind comes to an end, the world comes to an end. Whether it is sleep, whether it is coma, whether it is death, whether it is a resolution of the whole universe in Pralaya Avastha, in all this, it is anatma. It is dealing with not Atma, because Atma never sleeps, never is born. It always is.
Okay.
Okay, that's the next question. Today you're asking some brilliant questions.
Okay.
Okay, what's the next question?
The next question. Okay, wait. Just before you the question that you just, I understand what you say, but I'm just saying that. So during that sleep or meditation, of course, human being we know sleep, but what I'm saying that the locus itself, it's not. It can be anywhere, right? It's like it go out to the world, to universe, and then come back to the body and say, okay, wake up. Is it the case?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Exactly. See, what you're describing is perfect. The mind projects some objects in the world. You can be in the moon, you can be in Mars, you can be in Jupiter, you can be in America. These are all projections of the mind. The mind creates objects. The mind creates the space, the place, the time.
Okay.
Time and space or place is born in anatma. It is a part of anatma. It is a projection of the mind. Ultimately, we say it is a projection of our ignorance about our locus.
Okay.
Because I don't know the locus, the mind is projecting space, time, country, activities, actions. All that is an appearance. Exactly like the dream is the whole world of experience. Only thing is, I think that because I'm seeing it with my eyes open, I say it is so real. Okay. Now, this aspect of reality and unreality, it is a very advanced topic. Your mind will find it difficult to absorb it till you come to Mandukya Upanishad. The moment you come to Mandukya Upanishad, you will understand all the three states, and why we get the three states will be clearly explained to you in Mandukya Upanishad, commentary of Shankaracharya. there is a lot of science behind this. That science will be taught to you in Mandukya.
Oh, okay, good, fantastic. Okay, the last question. In a simplistic term, this is what I just learned. I don't know how real it is. So the mind is overlaying, in the English term, the consciousness is there, and so the mind is overlay above consciousness, and therefore, as a human, we keep on thinking that we are the mind.
Yes.
Okay, appreciate. So
The last portion of your answer, I would like to modify it slightly. There is consciousness, and then you are saying the mind is overlapping on the consciousness.
overlay.
Correct, overlay on the consciousness.
Okay.
I want in between the mind and the consciousness, I want to bring one more thing, and that is ignorance.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that I am the consciousness.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That ignorance is what we are trying to remove through meditation. I don't know that consciousness. I want to say I am that consciousness, and that ignorance, once it goes away, there will be no more questions. You will not even attend these sessions anymore. Because you
no,
say,
I will, because fantastic.
okay.
I'm
No,
glad to be here to follow what you to learn from you, follow what you say. Okay. Appreciate.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Or we can stop here if you have no other questions. Thank you. It was a very nice chat session today. Yeah.
Hari Om Shekharji.
Yeah, Vijay, yeah.
I think it's a set of a very, very beautiful questions on why meditation is not happening as we deem it to. But I think drawing my attention to chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, from verse 11 up to almost 10-15 verses, it actually takes us through why is it necessary to follow certain processes to be able to meditate. Because he says one thing is, it's not an activity, it's the beingness. In the sense, when you don't tell that I am going to meditate, and I'm not going to fall asleep, I think you will meditate.
Correct.
And then
That is what is the Pratipaksha Bhavana. Correct.
Correct. And then the one thing Lord expects us is to, he uses this word, as we also know about the ekaki. I think that interpretation mattered a lot, that the mind which is putting on its so many roles, with all that roles, when we sit for the meditation, either you are completely agitated, so you don't meditate, or because the mind is tired, the body is not going to cooperate and you would fall asleep. So he says very clearly to put in that, tell your mind that I am not going to be anyone XYZ. I'm going to be with my aloneness at that moment of time, maybe for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then that's when actually this happens, meditation happens. I thought I would like to bring that out as to how I do the meditation.
Very
Back
good.
to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you. It's an excellent point which Vijay has brought up today. What she's saying is ekaki bhavana. Ekaki bhavana means I alone am going to experience my aloneness. I alone am going to experience what? My aloneness. Ekaki bhavana. If you say that initially at the beginning, it will help you. See, this meditation has got, Saroj, if you want to go deeper into meditation, like what Vijaya suggested, the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is an excellent starting point. Go through those verses in my Master Gita, Master Life, Bhagavad Gita sessions of my, where I have sent you all my class videos. There you will find in the 6th chapter, you go and listen to those talks. If you're very keen on meditation, that will help you, because Lord Krishna is the greatest teacher. He has expressed to us all the obstacles which come, why we are not able to meditate, because chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Well, that's what he says. Balavat dridam. Chanchala. These are the 3 problems of the mind. It's always fickle. It wants to sleep. But your problem is not fickle, but your problem is layaha. Okay. If you have still more questions, you can ask in the next few meditation sessions also. And see, practice. You see, meditation is a abhyasa, is a practice. So all of you who have now so many, I think it's more than a year, 2 years, almost 2 years, we are doing these meditation sessions on Wednesdays. So I'm sure all of you, most of you do not have this problem of Saroj. And there are other problems which I will discuss a little later on. Once I finish this batch of meditations, I'll spend some time on understanding our mind. What is the mind? How do I understand the mind? How to look at the mind as a sakshi? What are the other obstacles like vikshepa, which is projections? Then there is another thing called as kashaya. Kashaya means your mind does not allow you to go beyond a certain level. Kashaya is another 3rd obstacle. Layaha, vikshepaha, kashaya. These are solid obstacles. Anyway, I will explain to you in one of the sessions in future. I will take this up. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you the next
Shekharji,
time.
one more thing I wanted to add here is about going back to the Panchadasi session. You started about the creation, and when it's coming about the exactly, what is that needed and what is not needed, whether it could be munja grass or whether it is the retaining the green and throwing the husk, as Lord said. Will Ajata Jativada also become part of this Bhaga Vibhaga? How does that work?
Can you repeat the question?
The when we are talking about Vyatireka.
Yeah, Vyatireka, correct.
So when we say, when we know that some parts, both we have to, whole part we need to shun, and then we said some part we need to hold on, some part we need to shun, and then the entire part we need to hold on. So among these 3, will Jati Ajati Vada also come into the picture, or how does that work?
That's correct. You are right. The Jati Achata Vada is a separate method. That is a separate method of coming to the reality. Anvaya Vyatireka is another method. By which you come to the reality. You see, Anvaya Vyatireka, when you understand it with reference to the 3 states, it is very easy. Anvaya Vyatireka, when you do in Mandukya Upanishad, it is very, very easy there. When I take Mandukya Upanishad, you will find it extremely easy. See, in Anvaya Vyatireka means apavada. Vyatireka means you get rid of things which are not you. What are the things which are not you? The panchakoshas. I get rid of it. That is called as Vyatireka. I drop that. What this Anvaya? Anvaya means the common element which is there in all the 3 states. The awareness is there in the waking. The awareness is there in the dream. The awareness is there in the sleep. That awareness which is there in all the three states, I hold on to that. That is what is called as anvaya. Vyatireka is the dropping off of the, you're peeling the five koshas. Like the onion peel, the peel which you remove and drop is called as Vyatireka. Am I clear?
So this is much more a complex way of actually taking Atma and Atma Vichakshana. That's it, right?
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is slightly complex. It is slightly difficult intellectually. You are right. But once you understand Atma and Atma, then it is a very clear case. No, then you don't need all these other methodologies. Then once you have understood Vivek Chudamani very clearly, I am Atma, I am Atma, I am Atma, and you remind yourself all the time, then this process is extremely easy. It is a very simple process of the mind only. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll close today. And thank you very much. We'll see in the next session the few remaining verses of chapter 1. Thank you. Bolo.
Why sometimes we were doing the meditation, we fall asleep?
Sorry?
Why sometimes we are doing a meditation, we fall asleep halfway?
Yeah, you see, you sleep because of one of the main reason you go to sleep is because you have not had enough sleep during your sleep time.
Oh.
See, suppose you have not slept for your normal 6, 8, 5, 6 hours of sleep, and the body is tired, then you will sleep. Number one. Number two, suppose you are eating full stomach, and then you're trying to meditate, you can never meditate. Suppose you have eaten, and immediately you sit down and start meditating is very difficult. So two reasons. One reason is you have not had enough sleep. Number two, you have eaten too much, and generally after eating, it is difficult for the mind to meditate because the blood starts flowing up and then you're not able to meditate.
But does it mean that...
That means eat less and get up in the morning to meditate because you've already had a good sleep. So don't try to meditate at night before you go to sleep because your body is tired, It wants sleep. At that time, you tell your body, no, you get up and sleep, get up and meditate. It will not listen to you.
But they say 4 a.m. is a good time to sleep, to meditate.
Yes. You see, 4 a.m. in the morning is Brahma Muhurta time. Brahma Muhurta means it is the best time, they say, when your mind can tune up to the highest. Because that is a time the saints, the rishis, they have realized the highest truth have been seen by the rishis at that time. The rishis have told us that Brahma Muhurta time, 4 o'clock in the morning, but to meditate at 4 o'clock in the morning, you must sleep at 8 o'clock in the night. If you sleep at 8, you can do meditation at 4. But if you sleep at 11 o'clock in the night, no way you can do meditation. You will get up at 4 o'clock, put on the alarm, and then try to sit down. Then, like what Saroj is saying, you fall off to sleep.
Oh my God. But doesn't it mean that we have gone too deep into the meditation session?
No. That is not right. No, it is not right. See, that is why they say that don't do that meditation where you make your mind thoughtless. Bring thoughts. But thoughts about what? About Atma. Even if you remember one small thing of my class today, I am this Atma which is not gone. this Atma will not die. Let the thought come in the seat of meditation, and then you will find that this thought remains with you throughout your day. Whatever you think in meditation will remain with you throughout the day in the subtle form. It will remain. And it will become, it will go into your subconscious mind, and then you will automatically, when you think about yourself, you will say, I am the Atma. Because you have meditated on what? I am the Atma, which is never born. It will never die. Two things you must say. Don't say only a one, because then you will say the Atma will also die along with the body. Atma never dies with the body. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Baba.